everyone. Welcome to another lab. In this lab, we are going to resolve PC hardware support ticket. Here is the scenario. It is another busy day at IT help desk. Three employees have submit high priority ticket because they cannot get their computer to work properly. To complete this lab, view each ticket in issue tracks on the IT admin computer. Troubleshoot each problem and implement a solution. A problem will be considered solved when the Windows operating system is displayed on the computer monitor. Write a polite and professional comment on each ticket describing the action taken, then close ticket. As we see in IT field, your day is depend on what's going on. You don't really know what happened. If you just come to work, you don't really know what is coming in. Some day is slow, some day is super busy. If you are one of such IT specialists, you already know that. If you are one of the person who's preparing for IT job, that is something that you have to realize. The important thing that I want to let you guys know here is that you don't really know what is actually happening. The only thing you have to do as IT technician is to try to your best to understand the ticket that come to you, then try to put the resolution in place. So like we see from this instruction, there's no single piece of hint that we can able to get from here. So what we have to do is just straight go to ticket and read the ticket. If we got any clue, we go from there. If there's no clue, we have to try to do our best to do all the possibility why the computer is not turned on. So let's get into it. So the first thing we have to start with to check the ticketing system. If you have done couple lab before this, you already know this, but if this is your first lab, you will need to know that this issue trace is one of the ticket system that this company is used. But there's a lot of different type of ticketing system. It's better to you do the research, but this one is just for fictional. It's not maybe the real one. All right, as you see here, there's three different type of ticket that already given to us up here, and it's also assigned to me or anyone who do this lab. As you see here, the priority is actually very high. The due date is depend on the day you are actually doing this lab, so don't be confused with why the day is different, because the days keep changing. This is the day I was doing this lab, that's why the day is listed up there. So in order to get the information, we have to click one of it. So we start with that one. This one is say, when I get into work this morning, my computer wouldn't turn on. Okay, the computer is not turned on. That's the hint. Come and fix it. I am an executive. I'm important. I am important. I am important. All right, I understand the language. Well, I know executive is very important, but like sometimes it's better to be polite, right? So please come and fix is maybe enough. But don't worry about that part. What you have to worry is what's going on here. So the computer is not actually turning on. All right, so where this thing is actually happening, so you have to read more information down here. So the contact number, the email have been given over here. Device information is that is in PC is in executive office. So we got to go there. Okay. So as you see here, there's the executive office. So we have to turn it that. And again, as if you are follow my lab before, every time I start with any issue that related to display or power issue, every single time I start with the power check to make sure all the power is connected correctly and check what's going on. All right, so let's test the computer to start by ourselves to make sure if there's any issue. So as we see, the computer is failed to turn on. So we see the computer is, it's sometimes the user might say something, but that's not really actually what's going on. So still, it's good to you check that and then see the error by yourself and test it from there. So as I always do, as I mentioned, if you was follow up the lab that I'm doing, I start every time with the very simple step. That simple step is to make sure what kind of connection is there and if the issue is related to connection. All right, so the first thing is to make the turn the computer back and then to check the power. That's the first thing that we have to do. So when I click here, I see this connection is not go to any one of this. But if I slide up here, I see there is the power strip right here, which is everything is connected from here. So in order to test that, I want to make sure where this one is connected to. So this one is connected to actually the computer. That is the first thing that I want to check. Second, I want to check if the monitor is actually connected. That is another sign. And I want to check what is this. So this one is, the other side is not connected. So one side is just connected. That's nothing. It's just the empty. As far as the computer monitor is actually connected, we don't really have to worry about that. The second thing is to make sure, I mean, that is not even the case since the computer is not start on. It's not really related to if the computer is connected to monitor or not. However, we still need to check that. So as we see, the monitor and the computer is connected correctly with DVI and other thing. So the last thing that I still check with the power related issue, I want to a little bit and zoom in to make sure that this power supply is on, as you see right here. And also this number is the one is a slide. So like if you change this way, the number is really big power. So that's caused the problem. It's 2000 something. So you have to make sure all the time is on 1151 power voltage. That's something it have to be all the time. So that looks fine. So I haven't seen any problem over there, but still I'm not feel like done with the power. I want to check around. So there's nothing, there's no problem with the computer power. There's no problem with the motherboard power. But last thing I want to check is the power strip itself. So as you see here, there's different light and then there's the different power. So I want to click either turn on or turn off to make sure if there's anything wrong over here. So most of the time, if you connect something and then it's still, even though everything is connected to wall at the same time connect to the device, if by accident you are power on of this one, the power strip, that is big problem. And it's something maybe it took a lot of time to people realize, okay? So most of the time, the power strip have the light. So there should be the light there, but which I have been able to see right now. So I have to start that one up first. here we go. I think that should be the first problem. We are not sure if this solves the problem unless we are start the computer and then see if that is the solves the problem. But that is the problem because now it's green but was being off. So I want to test the computer to make sure if that solves the problem. Turn it to front, turn it on. It say the computer is on, but the monitor is not showing the output from the computer. Okay, why? Maybe the power is not on. So let's click the power on. Here we go. As you see, the computer is power on, the monitor is displaying correctly. So how we know if that is enough? At least we have to say that here's what it said. A problem will be considered solved when the Windows operating system display on computer monitor. I think we can just agree with that and that we consider that is enough. Okay, if that is enough, we have to go back to the IT admin computer and put the information right here. Hello. Happy to inform. You can type whatever you want. I just want to say I'm happy to inform you that I have successfully resolved the issue. Resolve the issues. I think that is enough to this, but you can type whatever you want to make sure your language is polite. And so that inform the issue, solve it. You have to make sure add the note and then solve the ticket. Then if you go back, still we have left with another ticket. So this one is another one. It said my computer will not start. When I press the power button, I get my stress beeping noise. Please fix it as soon as you can. Interesting. So again, we have to check the location of the device where has the contact person. So usually in real world, you have to inform the user, email them, and ask them when they are available to check this issue or when you can able to come to their office. So you cannot just walk in because they maybe have meeting and this should be maybe something going on. So you have to contact them first and then arrange the time with them. So let's go to this one. Since this is just a lab, we have to just walk in, go to Office 2, go into hardware, and then we can start try that by for ourselves. Start the computer. See here, maybe you might not because I was in the voice sound thing. That's still beep, so I have to power off to make sure that beeping is not going on. So usually if you was reading before, or maybe you already solved a different problem that related to this kind of sound, which is beep sound, is maybe you already know what exactly that's related to, or you can maybe do the research and what actually the beep sound is related to. But it's mostly when you heard the beep sound, it depends on how long or how consequent it is, it's mostly related to memory or it is hard drive issue. It's mostly, it's nothing to do with the power. It should be something running issue on the motherboard. That's why we just have to go there exactly and check what's going on. As you see right here, we have seen that there's no single memory in there. So that's the first issue, and that's something we have to address right away. But what we have to use in order to do that, the first thing is that you have to check if you have the memory. As we see, there's two type of it, and all of them is the same number, and then it's speed and capacity and type. So that is something you have to check up front. Second, you have to read the memory, the motherboard documentation. If you just put that in and you have to check how many I'm going to put, one, two, or all, you know? So you have to read that in order to get that information quickly. So you have to more focus on where you got, I can say just go all the way down all the time. There's the memory up there. So recommendation and memory configuration. So the first one is a one DIMM. You may install one memory module in any slot as single channel operation. There's no specification. So the issue that we have seen is that computer is not turned on. We don't really know what the user prefer. We don't know that. So we can just do what is best option this scenario. Okay. So the second option is that two DIMMs, dual channel operation. For dual channel configuration, you always need to install identical, the same brand, speed, size, and chip type, which is DDR3. As you see here, we have that. I think that's really good information. In the slot of the same color, that's something very important, the same color. In other words, you have to install an identical DDR3 DIMM pair in slot DIMM A1 and B1, or identical DIMM in slot A2 or B2. If memory is not installed in the correct slot, for example, using the slot A1 and the A2, memory will operate as single channel configuration. I think that is enough information for us to install the two memory that we have up here. So since they should be on the same color, we can go from the first one we start with, and then we can put all that two in there. So I think we can start, we can try with just putting memory in. If that help us to start the computer and we can able to see everything, boot to the operating system, as we already highlight over here, that solves this problem, right? So let's do that. And as we see, there's something different than what we have seen before. So it's loading right now. There's no sound, beep sound. There's nothing like that, which hopefully, here we go. We are successful load into operating system, and we can see Office 2 right here. I think that will solve this lab, this step problem. So again, I have to put the note, hello, I'm happy, I'm pleased. again, you can type whatever you want, as this is just personal preference and depend on how long time you want to take, and then type whatever you want, but this is, at least you have to put something there. And then again, you have to, don't forget to close the ticket. Then if you go back, there's only one ticket left for us. All right, let's get into this one. This one say, my computer turned on, but I can't seem to get the monitor to display anything. Could you please come help me figure it out? Thanks. That's really good, polite language. I like that. All right, so here the office is Office 1. So we already solved executive, we already solved Office 2. Now we can move to Office 1. So as we get into Office 1, again, the issue was the computer is already start, and the issue is that the computer is not displaying a monitor. Again, for this kind of issue, every time I will start with the power. Most of the time, when this kind of issues happen, it's because of two things. The first one is maybe the monitor itself is not connected to power, or even though it's connected to the power, it's not power on. But as we see for this one, it's already power on, then it's the power light is already there, and then the signal, there's no signal is already here. So that's not the case. So the second thing is, even though the computer is power on, especially when it's two monitor, mostly if the computer is not extended to the monitor, it's not really work, especially if the issue is related to laptop that connect to multiple monitor by using docking station. That is mostly the problem. But in this case, this is just one single computer that connect to one single monitor. The issue could be related to the connector itself. That is something we have to check first before we even go inside the computer or monitor something like that. So let's start. So again, we have to skip the process to troubleshoot the power. So the power is not the issue here, because we see the computer is light on and the monitor is already power on. So that's not the case. Let's move to back of the computer and the monitor. So the first thing is what we have see here is that the monitor is already connected. That's the only connection. Right here, what I see is HDMI that actually connect to monitor, but it doesn't connect to the computer. Here we go. That will be the first problem that we have to try to tackle. All right, so let's plug that in. As you see, that is the first issue we found, and now both sides is actually connected to monitor and to the computer. So I love to try at this age. Here we go. Even before we try anything, the computer is actually already display on the monitor because it's already power on. I think this is also solve this problem. What we got to do, we have to go back and solve this ticket as well. In order to do that, we have to go back to the IT administrator, and then we say, hello, I'm happy to inform that I have this ticket. Enough. Okay. All right. We're saying that we can um, add that note, close the ticket, go back, and I think that all solves the problem, and all the ticket that we're supposed to be work on is closed right now. Then we can score the lab and to make sure we are successfully done with this lab. All right. So as we do all the time, let's score the lab and check for result. Here we go. As you see here, we score 100% and we are successfully solve all this issue and close all this ticket. So if you forget any one of this, your result is not going to be 100%. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get the next information or next lab that's coming in. Thank you for watching and see you in next lab.